Peace, family. How y'all doing? I'm just letting everybody know I'm online. So give me just a second. I'm live here in the Hollywood Hills. We'll get to all of that in just a second. Let me just tap in with everybody on my social media. A little iffy because I am in the Hollywood Hills. I know it's gonna take everybody a little iffy because I am in the Hollywood Hills. I know it's gonna take a minute for everybody to get notified. I am at the top of a hill, not the hill, but a hill, as you can see from my surroundings. But I hit a plateau in terms of this is a day. So I was just gonna keep climbing and keep walking until I got to a dead end, which I do all the time. And then see if I had a signal. And if I had a signal, I was gonna go live. Obviously, I put live in LA in my subject intentionally to give a larger, broader context of what's happening here. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. What's good, Samantha? What's good, UFO? Richie Rich, Peace King. Ayana, what's good, Queen? Blue Jazz Holiday. Thank you for bringing us to LA live. Yeah, for sure. Chrissy, what's good? Much love, family. How are y'all doing? How are y'all feeling? Let me see. Okay, this message is held for review. Be careful out there, the Mexicans going crazy. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm doing this live for, because I want to put proper context into the circumstances and situations out here so we don't get hoodwinked, because you guys are watching a major psychological warfare, fugazi, you know, you're watching a lot of smoke and mirrors in a movie playing out right in front of our eyes. It's just the difference is that this movie we're actively participating in. So I'm gonna get to that in a second. Yeah, don't family, don't respectfully, because this is the second comment now. So let me put a little bit of context here to make sure we are all familiar with who I am, what I represent, and what I do. I don't need the be careful sentiment. I don't need the be careful energy. Everywhere I stand, holy ground. I need the energy that's magnifying that. I need the energy that's aligned with that. The devil need to be careful when I'm in the vicinity. That's how I walk in. That's how I walk in the earth. That's how I walk through the earth. So I'm here specifically and intentionally for a very specific reason, divine reason actually, and that reason is becoming more and more clear to me as we are, looking at this situation with the circumstances right now, but even the fires at the beginning of this year. This is a place where a lot of the epic scenes of the Battle of Armageddon, so to speak, and Babylon being exposed because Babylon is exposing itself intentionally. So this is a scene where things of epic proportions are taking place. But you guys don't need to send me to be careful energy. I need that strong, powerful king, queen, god, goddess, you know what I mean? Reminder, powerful alignment, powerful energy, powerful words, powerful conversations. That's what I'm about. That's why I'm live right now. You know what I mean? Because America is being hoodwinked on a major level. Even the thing about like be careful about the Mexicans, like that again, that I'm not on that race-based consciousness. Everywhere I go, I get love. I get nothing but love from Latinos in California. Just like I get nothing but love from my people, just like I get nothing but love from all people. Unless, Agent Smith is in the vicinity and then we can deal with that too when it's necessary. But yeah, I need powerful affirmations spoken over me. Otherwise, you can, you know what I mean, tune into somebody else that's receiving that type of energy respectfully, because I know you guys mean well. The devil's out there, girl. You better be careful out there. God is out here. Look around me. Listen to the energy and the vibrational resonance in my voice. God is out here. God is present. God is all around me. God is operating in and through me. You see all this beauty and this abundance and this wealth in this environment where I am right now, including the view, because the view is the most abundant thing. The trees and the flowers are the most abundant thing, but then you got an ample amount of wealth and of access in this vicinity as well. We're getting ready to walk down the hill. I'm just giving it a chance to, you know, giving everybody a chance to tap in. So I just gave the notifications. But yeah, this is everywhere I stand is holy ground, family. You know what I mean? If you go send me some energy, please filter it through that concept. Peace, Queen Joy. How you doing? With God, you can go anywhere with peace. Return of the Sophia, divine wisdom. I wish you would show us that beautiful view. High vibrations only. And I get the original language spoke to me by my Latin fam. I know you didn't mean any harm, sis. Y'all, though my tenor and my tone sometimes comes off as passionate, but I'm passionate. I'm a passionate person, So uh, sometimes the tone of the conversation might feel like I'm being defensive, but I'm just, you got to speak truth and you got to speak powerful in this time where people are soft and limp and neutral. There's too much neutrality for me. There's too much passivity for me. There's too much mediocrity. Too many people are like, walking the middle ground, so to speak. So sometimes I have to speak with fervor and passion to balance out the equation. But it's never personal, I promise you. And it's all love. Assalamu alaikum, Brother La. How you doing? Brother La. Didn't it used to be Brother Ra? Maybe not. How you doing, King? Stay away from sloshing. And yeah, again, there go that frequency. You know what I mean? We ain't on that. I'm in Arizona. I love the West Coast. Miss Cheryl, how are you doing, Queen? What a wonderful pleasure to see your name. We got to catch up. I'm assuming you're still in New Orleans. You too fine to be out there. Okay, so yeah, I see what frequency you on. So again, be mindful with me, family. I'm live. I'm in the Hollywood Hills, and the reception in this area can be inconsistent at times. So if we get to a space where we're buffering, I'll try to expedite my way down the hill. Um, I'm really I hadn't even reached my peak in terms of walking up. But then when I hit the dead end, I just said I'm going to walk up until I hit a dead end, and then we're going to stop. So I want to go higher up, but I don't want to be huffing and puffing while I'm on the pause. Let's be clear. It's a lot of weird, freaky shit going on in the airwaves. So let me make sure I contextualize my language. Okay? Because even in these internet spaces, y'all talking about be careful out in the world. I got to be careful. Warfare's taking place. Now, I mentioned the sexual energy in one of my videos, and then not 10 minutes from getting off of the live, somebody once again, blocked, probably found another way to try to get through. But the videos, the Diddy type vibes, you know what I mean? Sending me weird shit like that. So I'm always being cognizant and mindful of my language and the vibration that I'm, radiating faces and the tenor in my voice, so that the weirdos and the half-cocked peons and the peasants and the, is your preferred language of disrespect for a weirdo, right? You get that, and then we see we got some construction going on here. I'm always here for the construction. I'm always here for the expansion. Okay? Now, there's protests happening in LA right now, and you see the situation in the sky. Okay? Just for clarity. You know what I mean? So, we worried about the Mexicans, and I'm looking up in the sky seeing the real play. And mind you, I'm not worried about the Mexicans. Just like I'm not worried about these devils in whichever racial capacity they present themselves. It's a nice house. A lot of times these houses will look small on the side, and then you can see them when you see them from the other side. It's like a whole 20,000 square foot situation. And let me just turn around and check my surroundings. This is a dead end, so hopefully I'll be good walking down the street. Got to be cognizant of that. Let's see. Can you be more jolly? Hell nah. Peace and love, blessings to everyone. Don't ask me nothing silly like that. I feel like you're playing and being playful, but come on now. My jolliness and my contribution to your jolliness is the fact that I'm live right now and you have access to me. Are you really going to squander this opportunity to communicate with a real queen and goddess and ask me silly things like that? You actually have my attention? Come on now, step your game up. Now, be jolly about that. What's up, everybody coming in? Peace and love. Yeah, Kimmy's for real. So, and this is my process when I, have to be mindful of what's going on in the skies. Like, yeah, I got to transmute this energy, transmute this intention, transmute this wickedness that I see taking place right above my head so I can still commune with the Most High and Mother Nature and Source Energy regardless. This is a nice, beautiful, Spanish-esque type of home. A lot of these homes, they credit them for being Spanish architecture, but it's really all inspired by the Moors. We're going to walk past this house in just a second. That is a very, very beautiful modern update to the original Moorish Spain architecture. And of course, if you have my book, Ancient People, you know that I did a pretty extensive expose on Moorish architecture because I'm very fond of it, fascinated by it. I can see myself one day producing a tabletop type book of, ancient architecture from all around the world. I could totally see that. Maybe I'm speaking into it and speaking it into existence right now. So I'm going to get to the subject, you guys. Just want to, let you guys see the frequency and the energy that's happening around me. I'm not in LA proper. I'm in the Hollywood Hills, but we are not far from whatever you think is going on here. Actually, let me come up a little bit and we will take a view of this. Pardon me for the shakiness. It's much easier to be stable going down the hill than it is going up. But let's just get a gander at the city, the downtown area, which is where all of the alleged smoke is taking place in that particular vicinity, okay? And they'll say that the fogginess in the sky is smog. But then that wouldn't be giving proper credit to all of the money and energy and intention they put into spraying our skies. So I don't know if these the fence bars are kind of messing up the view, but just to give you a proper right of what's happening in the city. There might be some commotion down there in the distance, right? Let me see, do I see any helicopters in that area? No. So that means it's not too fired up. There's probably different protests happening all around the city, but I guarantee you the frequency and the energy in the people is not violent. This is that antagonist energy that I've been properly acquainting or directing to Donald Trump, because that is exactly the role that he is meant to play right now. And I just, like I said I did my headline news episode yesterday, and I went in. If you're a member on my channel, or if you're in my membership channel, I went in on that, the AI element and the immigration element and the biometric tracking system element, and all this shit is smoke and mirrors, bruh. And it's kind of frustrating to see how many people can't see the play here. Because if you tell me, okay, yes, it's cruelty, it's wrong, it's disrespectful, it's all of the anti-humanity things, right? Because it is all of that. But then if I learn that, okay, but there's a bigger agenda, and this is, a fugazi or a psyop, or got to be careful about which words I use, or, there's malicious intent. Things are not what they seem to be. They're making it seem like this, and it's really that. It might be fired up and everybody's on fire right now, but when this first started, there was nothing happening in LA that warranted this thing to blow up and expand to what it has expanded now. In other words, this is a program. So once you tell me it's a program, now I gotta move a little bit different. That doesn't mean I'm not attached to the human element of this. It doesn't mean I don't have compassion. It doesn't mean I don't acknowledge the wrong. We're talking about it right now. This is my contribution to that. But there's a bigger game that's being played here, and like I said in that video, it's more. I don't want to say scary because that's a low vibration word. It's more concerning to me. How many of us still don't see the play? That's the scary part to me. How many of us still don't see the play? Okay? And again, just to redirect back to the conversation about the devil is, be careful, the devils are out there. Yeah, God is present 1000%. You see the mountains, you see the flowers, you see the trees, you see the greens and the pinks, right? And the yellows, you hear the birds. Nature is not vexed at all. Mother Nature is not vexed in this environment at all. So why would I be? If you're gonna send me if you're gonna pray for me, pray in a powerful way, please. You want to send me some affirmations or some, you know what I mean, some righteous energy. Make it powerful. We want to magnify the God frequency, not the frequency of the wicked ones. You see how busy they are right now. We got to see how busy they are right now. How could we not? No curfew in this area, family. We love you because you remind us of the warrior within and our ancestors. Yeah, I received that. We're definitely here to magnify the energy of the warrior class. 100% queen. No curfew in this area. LA is huge. You see what's going on in my surrounding. It's not, you know what I mean? The view is great. We see the links. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on in those underground tunnels nobody's talking about. Cali got some weird shaped houses in those areas. Salmon is still happily swimming upstream. Sweet free spirit. Peace, Steve. How you doing? Is that my brother Steve from the Lou? You say weird shape. I'm fascinated by it all, but I love architecture. So you see the cement base here in this house, and building the building up, and there are some weird ones, right? Just for clarity, but you see what it takes to build the foundation in order to build something as beautiful and large. It's probably a 10,000 square foot house when it all boils down to it. The work you got to put in for the foundation to build something like this right here. Okay, you're not building a house like that in God's country first before you respect the Mother Nature aspect, before you put in the work. Hold on, this lady coming down the street, and I do not want to get hit, so let's just cross the street real quick and get out a moment. The foundation got to be strong to build something like that. You got to respect Mother Nature. You see that there going on, okay? So most of the protests are downtown by UCLA, the Wilshire Federal Building. That's where it's all popping out because it's on the mountain. Facts. Peace, Queen. I'm from Virginia. Okay, so you're not my other brother, Steve. Pardon me, but still, it's all love. Welcome. This is the house on this left-hand side that I want to show you guys. And again, we're going to tap in about everything going on, but I have to honor and respect the Most High when it's just beauty like this around me. So this is the house that I talked about that has a lot of the Moorish, Spanish building techniques. You see these. Let me see. Can I get a hope of God? I hope don't call the police on me. I'm admiring the beauty of your architecture. Let's see if I can get through the. Okay, here we go. So you see that balcony, how those ridges are built there. That's a very Moorish Spain building technique. And then you can see down there on the bottom right too, right? See that? Okay, so if you have ancient people, go to the Moorish Spanish section and you'll see the images and the war scenes. This is how they created the top barriers of the castles so that they could be able to peer through to see their enemies, but also to be able to hide. So that's a Moorish architectural historic moment for the family. Okay, and you can see how large this house is. There's some more down there. Let me see. See how large this house is? Well, maybe you can, maybe you can. I'm trying to be a creep and be all peeking in people's windows, but this house basically spans a whole city block. It looks like it's 4 levels. It's probably about, I would say, 10,000 square feet. All right, so LA. Yes, Alhambra, Al Andulas, Granada, right? Um, all of that, Cordova, all of that. So the levels of psychological warfare and mind manipulation and the divergent in terms of dividing people and keeping people divided in these, in these levels of consciousness or in these states of consciousness, right? And so why wouldn't the big, let me see, should I go straight? I'm gonna turn left here, trying to avoid the major streets. Why wouldn't, when the shit is hitting the fan in epic proportions, the race dichotomy be another level to this? And we can say it's America versus immigration, but we all know it's bigger than that, right? Oh, I didn't even see this one coming up. So this is the front of the house. So then it just further reiterates and proves my point, okay? So you see all of the Moorish architecture right here, full throttle, okay? Our ancestors, our greatness. Oh, look, oh, wow, hold on. Bruh, they do not have a crest on this house. Oh my God. That is so boss. It looks like an original Moorish crest too. Wow. Okay, this might have to be, I might have to come back and do some, you know what I mean, a little bit of knowledge on this house. Those are my family, my membership channel knows that I have certain houses that I get enamored with, and then I start stalking them. Not like, you know what I mean, heavy stalking, but just like randomly coming by and, you know what I mean, studying and examining it. So, all right, let's come back to the conversation. Wait, let me tap in with the chat room first. Hey, Miss Diane, how you doing? Diana, Miss ATL, clay tiles and arches and crests. Exactly. Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, family plate. That's boss right there. Get the address of that house, ZaZa. We can help research. Nah, man, people would start. I got to be careful in these YouTube streets, in these social media streets, man. It's a be cautious of how I move in these spaces because it's a wicked spirit that be navigating. You know what I mean? Somebody try to do something weird, do some weird shit to the house just in my name. Oh, I saw your house on YouTube, and ZaZa Ali said everybody to come by here and take pictures and do their research. And now I'm caught up in some, you know what I mean? All I'm doing is trying to explore on my Lorecraft Tomb Raider shit. ZaZa Ali Soul Raider vibes, So, again, we're stabilizing grids in these spaces. You know what I mean? Keeping the frequency in LA and maintaining a certain level of vibration and conscientiousness so that the world is attuned to us. You feel me? But for the right reasons. Oh, everything here is in this area. Houses are probably, I would say, a minimum 5 million. I want to go up. Let me see. I'm just gonna keep walking. Yep, I'm in LA. ZaZa Ali in shape. Yeah, brutally murdered. It's not his book. All right, cool. So, just tapping with you guys, making sure if you have any questions, drop me a super chat and I will answer it live and direct. So, we saw this situation and how it started in LA. The original protest that happened as a result of, them boys intentionally raiding very highly emotionally charged environments like graduations. So they intentionally went in and they came with that evil, wicked spirit, which is where the cruelty factor came in, which is what we're all, reacting to or upset about. Obviously, the cruelty factor, right? Like I said in the other video, is giving me slave plantation vibes. It's giving me, separating families on an auction block vibes. Nothing near as close in terms of extremity, but extreme nonetheless. That's the other thing, Black people. We got to be able to have compassion and empathy for people. Like, if you don't have it, you're way more like them than you realize. That's always been the thing that separates us in our superpower, so to speak. Now check this house out, y'all. So there's a whole bunch of these like kind of really cute and whimsical, unique architectural houses in this area, and this is one of them. You can also see the Moorish influence here, right? That keyhole element at the top right there. That's a Moorish trait. All of this, the tiles, the decoration, all of that. That's all Moorish architecture. So you'll see a lot of, kind of interesting and whimsical houses like that in this area. And again, it doesn't look as big as it is on this side, but yeah, this house goes the whole block. So the other side of that house that I was, marveling over, the back end is also the back of the end of this house. So these homes are very large. So we saw everything pop off after the raids, right? In the live that I did yesterday, I talked about the biometric, not the live, the headline news episode, the biometric tracking systems, which was the reason that they originally let all those people here. Hold on, let me stabilize my hand, family. I'm not on my square. Hold on 1 second. This is part of I pride myself on being able to walk and talk with a steady hand, okay? So I'm not paying attention to that. I think because I'm live, so I kind of got my guard down a little bit. So let me just stop for a second. Yeah, I talked about the Golden Dome. I talked about the $5 million gold card to buy citizenship. I talked about the gold pager that Netanyahu gave Trump. I talked about the gold statue in the AI video that he shared. I talked about the calf with the golden hoofs that's at Mar-a-Lago, right? So, and then you add the gold dome right there. Like they're speaking to us and speaking to each other in scriptural language. But the thing that we haven't yet deciphered is that they want themselves to be those bad guys. They're telling us they want to represent the chosen people of God, but on the contrary, they want to make manifest all of the revelations. Hold on. If you don't have empathy, you're more like them. Not exactly. The Mexicans are all traitors. I'm not gonna. Again, I represent the king and the queen and the god and the goddess type energy. So that's just something that I could not responsibly ever say and put out into the ethers, especially being from California and having had plenty of positive experiences and interactions throughout my lifetime with Latino and Mexican people. And then understanding that, they are a part of the original family, no matter how diluted the mentality might be, and even diluted the skin tone might be. Like, yeah, they are a part of the original family. So there's that aspect. And it would make sense that there would be a fight or a coming to the head, so to speak, in terms of the land right now. Again, they want that to be the point of focus right now. There's a fight over land, and then there's a fight over nationality, and then there's a fight over race, and then there's a fight over gender, And then there's the fight over taxes. And then there's the fight over UFOs. And then there's the fight over what? What else can we put it in that category? It's a lot of reactionary energy going on. It's a lot of, defensive mechanisms going on. And it's a lot of responsive, aspects of this. This is a beautiful house too right here, y'all. Just got to take a second, stop and take a second and marvel at this wonderful, beautiful home. It was a really, really clear day yesterday, but still you get the vibes. Okay, again, we are live in LA, just for proper context. Not in the heat of the controversy, but still in LA, definitely not far from, where things could be a little bit tense. But I'm letting you know that the fire is burning element and sentiment is just not true. So when I say, feel like I honestly, I be feeling like I feel like I repeat myself so much sometimes. That's why I don't necessarily do a lot of content, because I feel like a lot of what I'm saying is repetitive, but I keep repeating it because it's so necessary to be said right now. That go with the flow shit has already gotten a lot of people put themselves in very precarious situations. Now, I also talked about the march in, where was that? I want to say it was Dublin. It was a European nation. The Dutch, something to that effect. But they use sonar, S-O-N-A-R, and then W-E-A-P-O-N-S, right? Spelling it for obvious reasons, against the crowd. And they talked about it on CNN, which is what really made my much love, Antonio. I appreciate you for the love. Which really made my antenna stand up, because these type of things happen all the time. It actually happened at the Mike Brown protest too. We didn't really, make a big deal out of that. I'm not really sure how, but CNN did an expose on it, which made my antennas, kind of peak up, because that's not something they would normally play on mainstream news. So once they start being more forthright about it, like they are about these white lines in the sky, now allegedly Florida is, created a ban, and Tennessee has created a ban, or legislation for a ban. It's at different levels in terms of where they are. I think it's Mexico, Tennessee, Florida, and there's one other state, if I remember correctly. But the irony about that is, they're not being truthful and forthright about what they've been doing this whole time. They're saying we're going to ban it like we don't want it. They're not saying we've been doing it this whole time and now we're going to ban it because we messed something up or because it's not good. They're saying you guys are doing this or potentially could do this and we don't want to be a part of it. So they're all liars. And then the other thing is, if you're in a swimming pool and you're on the far left side of the pool and somebody else is on the far right side of the pool and they pass some urine, pardon me for the vulgar, sentiment, but I need to say that to make that point. You're not safe on the other side of the pool. None of the pool is clean at that point. So there's that. But I got to get back to my point. I know what my original point is, obviously, but I was just making a point. I went into the lines in the sky. It'll come back to me. But anyway, I correlate, there's different extremes happening in LA right now, even in this environment where there's this extreme wealth, but then there's also an extreme, poverty creeps its head in, and mental illnesses and lack-based consciousness can also be found heavy in these areas, right? In the cracks and crevices. So you've got those extreme polarities. You've got the extreme polarities of I'm in it 1000% right now. It's going down. I don't like what they're doing. I'm protesting. I'm marching. I'm 100% tuned in and focused in on this particular, struggle. And then you've got other people that are completely oblivious to it all. You know what I mean? But again, the programming aspect of it for me is like, okay, yeah, I got to stop for a second. Just like when I found that Economist magazine. Let me slow down because I'll be walking fast. Just like when I found that Economist magazine cover that showed the whole situation in Palestine playing out, and the magazine cover was from 2013. And they put the exact details of exactly what they did and what they were going to do. Yeah, once I get information like that, that's going to change the trajectory of my perspective of what's actually going on. But even with this thing right now where it's like, because the internet is on fire with the conspiracy element of what's going on with LA right now. I feel like they're telling us in no uncertain terms that they're not going to stop. And the means that they're going through to pull this off. If you guys are familiar with what's his name? Damn it! I put his videos in my membership channel all the time. He does he exposes the psyops. Oh man, what's his name? Now that's a major. It's like right on the tip of my tongue. It'll come to me, but he exposes the fake. Hold on. Be mindful of my surroundings. I'm surrounded by Agent Smith in these streets, in these LA streets. What is his name? Damn it. His website is, I don't even want to say his website. Okay, anyway, he exposes the psyops and the fake shootings and how they bring in crisis, the actors who perform in crises. That's not proper English, but I hope y'all get what I'm trying to say. And be careful, please, about what you say in the chat room, because, the algorithm is paying attention to what you guys say, too. So I pay a price for us not being able to code our language. One of the things I said in the AI video yesterday, by the way, it's an AI video because that's the main point of focus in the video, but I talk about a lot more than that. But one of the things I talked about is like, being conscientious of the algorithm, right? So even in my wording, even on my website, I code certain languages. I'll put an extra period, an extra dot, a dash. I'm navigating and finding ways to navigate the algorithm and that whole surveillance element. That's the tentacles is in everything at this point, just like the tentacles of AI is in everything at this point, right? And even, the type of content that I like, right? The content that I save. Sometimes I'll just randomly like or save something that I'm not even really interested in like that. Like, don't try to think you know me like that. We are not cool like that. So let me tap in with you guys in the chat room real quick. Catch my breath, because I just walked up a little hill there. Riding a bike up that hill will be a workout, man. I did one of my walk with me's. I was in the Hollywood Hills, but I went to the hill was so steep. So this is what I did. I parked my car at the very, very, very top of the hill, and I didn't have any water because I was in my car. Like right now, I don't have water in my backpack, but I was in my car, and I'm thinking I'm Jane Strong. You know what I mean? Not to be confused or affiliated with Jane Doe, currently on the stand for Diddy. Okay, just a little joke there. Now let's not get carried away. But so I'm parked the car, so I go all the way down the hill. I'm videotaping the whole time. It takes me 45 minutes to get down the hill. Okay, just for context of how long it's gonna take me to get up, and of course I can't quantify that until I actually do it. So. Takes me 45 minutes to get down. I get to the bottom of the hill. I'm recording, chopping it up, ending the video because I want the video to be an hour. So cool. I get my hour in, my work is done. Now I got to get back up this hill. Mind you, I have no water. Okay. So I ain't new to this. I've, hike the mountains and walk up hills all the time. So I get about halfway up and I'm taking little pauses, little intervals, right, to maintain my energy. Man, by the time I got like 65% up that hill, I was done. It was, whew, and it wasn't even as warm as it is today. So that's another one of those lessons. You got to respect nature. Even when I was coming down Runyon Canyon one time, and if you walk Runyon Canyon, the steepest side. I did the steepest trail, and then I come back down the steepest trail. So the steepest part of it has a concrete paving. So it's a trail. It's an obvious walkway, right? But when you get to all the way to the bottom of Runyon Canyon, there is a gravel, natural dirt, the regular rocks, the pebbles, all that come with the that come on the mountainside. So I get all the way up this mountain and all the way down this mountain, and I'm feeling careful. I'm feeling carefree and excited, and I'm high-fiving myself on the inside. And I took probably like maybe 7 or 8 steps once I got on the gravel, and I'm not paying attention, and I got my phone, and I don't know, maybe I was videoing or something, but I wasn't paying attention to my stepping, and took the wrong step and twisted my right ankle, and it probably took me a couple of weeks to really fully heal it. That's with the blessing of yoga. I'm not gonna let my body be off course too long. I've healed myself from at least 5 physical ailments in terms of yoga. I'm talking about physical issues, carpal tunnel, an injury in my right knee, an injury in my right knee and my right foot and my left foot. And those injuries came from wearing high heels, lower back issues at one point, probably 10 years ago, and then the carpal tunnel element. So yeah, I ain't gonna be down for too long, but yeah, willy-nilly, game goofy, just skipping to my loo, walking down. I'm like, yeah, I bossed up, run your canyon, don't run me, right? I wasn't thinking any of that, but clearly I'm, you know what I mean? I'm feeling myself right now, or I got jokes, I'll say. But let's see, can I cross the street? Yeah, man, God, and as soon as I hit the ground, because of course there's a few people around me, it was dramatic because my right ankle twisted, and so I did a little dance before I hit the ground, silly and embarrassing as it probably looked, but people around me reacting and, are you okay? And I'm getting up and brushing myself off, but the whole time I'm thinking to myself, yeah, bro, you can't don't play games with nature. You got off the paved part. You got off the path where, they wanted to make sure that it was easy and simple for you, and, to make sure that your footing was proper and you were properly supported as you made your way up and down this hill. And then you get to the part where the natural elements in and you start sleeping. That's what I took from that. That was a powerful revelation to me, particularly now where a lot of us who are, sort of operating on a certain state of consciousness are really ready to leave these concrete jungles and these large cities to venture out into the world and start going in areas where, the land is plentiful and Mother Nature is more prevalent, and, sort of getting our hands in the dirt and farming and all that good stuff, agriculture, et cetera, et cetera. Like, yeah. So the same way you got to be mindful if you're in Compton, you know what I mean? Or East Oakland or certain areas of Detroit, Brooklyn, New York, right? Yeah, it's that same thing with Mother Nature. It's just a twist. Respect the architect and you won't have no problems. That's another thing I learned in Sedona when I went hiking at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it was forecasted to be 100 degrees that day or something, late 90s or something like that. And so it was kind of the place I was staying at. They were like, make sure you get out to hike by a certain time and then get back in to hike by a certain time. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm, again, Dora the Explorer. Backpack, water bottles in tow, I'm good. And long story short, me and the person that I was with ended up, venturing off on the wrong path and getting lost. And I wasn't equipped for the long haul in terms of the water element. So I ended up having a heat stroke, and it was a thing where getting back to the location after getting lost, it was all of that. But again, the point is respect the architect, respect Mother Nature. And I do, but I've never worn sunscreen in my life. So it's balance, indulgence, and discipline. Yes, I respect Mother Nature. I'm not going to go out and be hiking, for 2 or 3 hours in the desert or in a desert place like, Arizona. But then I'm also not going to be putting no shit on my face that's going to block the important, benefits that the sun has in terms of the melanin production, in terms of the neurological impact, in terms of the recharging relationship that happens between our physical bodies and the electromagnetic energy of the sun. That's why I said when I come outside and I see they spraying them white lines in the sky, okay, I'm in transmutation mode, because you're not stopping my connection to the Most High. It's just not happening. No disrespect, but gang culture effed us all up. I was born and raised in so-called Ventura County. It messed some people up. I like you, ZaZa, like a palm tree. I want to embrace you like a devout tree hugger. I don't really, I don't really know how to respond to that. These are strange times right now. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe I should input that in Chat GPT and find a significant answer. I don't, you know what I mean? These hashtag no Diddy times. I have to be careful about the type of frequencies and energies I entertain. And I know you've been rocking with me for a long time, so I'm kind of joking with you. But then I'm also talking to everybody else listening. You know what I mean? We came here to have a heart-to-heart, soul-to-soul meeting of the minds, Chumash land, so-called. Repetition causes mastery. It needs to be said. ZaZa stays on point. Much love. I appreciate you for that. I see those streaks in the sky. Only some areas isn't possible. Exactly. I missed you, Miss ZaZa Ali. Sending you love back, Clarice. Much love, Queen. I love the landscape. Peace and love, ZaZa. Thank you for your time and your wisdom. It's all good. Bet not no one bother you. That's what's up, ZaZa. Yeah, that's how we got to walk on our planet. This shit's getting crazy. We think it's just, everybody kind of standing back and looking at LA, not even realizing 2020, the circumstances got, the stakes increased tremendously. Zachary Hubbard, does Jim outright tree work? I don't know what that means. ZaZa, you will love his insight. Okay. With rent and housing prices so high, how are folks affording these lavish homes? When hiking in nature, always stay hydrated and drink electrolytes. Yeah, it was a great, wonderful learning lesson for me. And that was a very long time ago. So at this point, I feel like I won't say a master hiker or whatever you want to call it, but I definitely feel, I have enough expertise under my belt. You see, on a day-to-day basis, sometimes I just come out here and I'll just go up these different hills and just kind of be in this exploring place. Check out the purple rain. I love these beautiful trees, and they just, flowered, makes these purple flowers just kind of rain down on the sidewalk, and it creates this really beautiful reflection. So yeah, man, back to that protesting element, back to the correlation of what's taking place in Palestine and what's taking place here, right? The ongoing Black Lives Matter was a program, family. I hope at this point we're all clear on that. And I know the people who actually watch my content should be clear on that, because we've been talking about that extensively for some time now, as have, others. Black Lives Matter was a program, and Black Lives Matter walked so that the Me Too movement and the immigration program movement could run. So all these different programs are all links in the same chain. So again, once I find out that there's some fugazi element to this, that there is some, something that we need to be side-eyeing, like, yeah, I'm not responding until I side-eye. You know what I'm saying? I'm not responding until I get the specific information and proper context of what's actually going on here. That's why that, truth is the light is critical. You start trying to tug at my heartstrings and, it's just, man, it's, oof, y'all. The children element, again, the mass triggering of the separating the children from the families, and it's just all shock and awe. The Economist, I wish I could pull this up on my phone, but I'm not on my phone. I'm not on my computer. The Economist magazine cover for April of 2025 is the picture, and I saw this after I finished the last headline news episode, or of course it would have been in there because it's super relative. But there's a picture of Donald Trump, but of the faces of Donald Trump in like this orangish red color, and the title in big bold letters is chaos. They want chaos in every aspect of our lives. So then that's the devil in the details part of it. We know the devil wants chaos. God is in the details. What's that's the input. So what's the output in terms of how God is seeing this? The Most High is witnessing this and paying attention and tapped in. What would God be tuned into right now? You know what I'm saying? So that whole that's on them, that's not us. While that there may be some truth to that, whether it's on a vibrational level or whether it's on a race-based level, that's not really something you want to put out into the ethers right now, because now you're tethering yourself to a certain type of mentality and frequency. You know what I mean? You got the Antifa out in California. You notice how they always just mysteriously just appear every now and then? That's because it's a program. I did the correlation to that in the video, again, the headline news episode. If you're in my membership channel, you have access to that. But I made the correlation between Antifa and V for Vendetta. The symbolism. They're steering the collective consciousness in a certain direction. That's why all this Nazi symbolism keeps getting, repeated, from Elon Musk to the TV show, The Man in the High Castle, to V for Vendetta, to Kanye West, who is no longer Kanye West. I don't know why you guys keep oh God, he's doing this, he's doing that. That's not Kanye West. I don't think that's him physically, but even if it is physically him, that's definitely not him mentally and spiritually and emotionally. So you see the levels of programming that can take place. You see the Desiree Perez situation happening with Rock Nation right now. I'll be posting my expose part 2 of episode 71 on that. I was in the lab all night last night finishing that. Well, not all night. Let me stop. That's too dramatic, ZaZa. Let's clean that up, okay? Because I recorded and posted part 1, and then I probably spent like another hour and a half, doing the knowledge to add to what I already had in terms of that Rock Nation situation, which is directly tied to the whole conversation about technology. Who's steering this ship? That's my question in every facet. And that goes back to the AI thing, but then in the collective consciousness thing. LA is in a certain type of vibration right now, but who steered this ship in this direction? America is in a certain type of frequency and vibration right now of protesting and anger and frustration, but who steered the ship in this direction? That's the vibration I'm on. That's the, you know what I mean? Truth is the light at this point. It has to be the governing factor. So you got the Desiree Perez situation where she's stalking and harassing and hounding her own daughter. Notice how that's not getting the same type of prominent media attention. They're getting ready to they're already lining Jay-Z up. It's already happening. And the more invincible he feels, after somebody comes after him and then he kind of pats it, okay, like swapping a gnat away, right? The more invincible he feels, because remember, Diddy was invincible 2 years ago. Let's be clear. Diddy is the lower nature of the Scorpio on steroids. And I'm a Scorpio, so I bear witness. This is what Scorpios who are operating in their lower nature can become. Cassie plays her role in the beast feeding the beast. You know what I mean? The young Miami played her role in feeding the beast, etc., etc. But my point, going back to my point, I mean, they are putting these people up in front of us as, mind you, the BET Awards was in LA. What was that, yesterday or the day before? They didn't say not a word about Altadena, not a word about the fires in LA. Okay, so like mass extreme polarities taking place in LA right now, full throttle for sure. But the vibrational resonance and the energy of God's presence in this place, this is absolutely an energetic vortex. LA gets slept on, California gets slept on, Southern California in particular, and I'm emphasizing that because I'm here now. I would be emphasizing it in a different way if I was back home in Oakland. This is a place of high vibrational frequency and electromagnetism in terms of nature, in terms of Mother Nature. The polarities of the beach and the mountains coexisting in this space. And then you got the desert aspect of that too, right? So these are three very extreme polarities in terms of, and the tropical environment. These are extreme polarities in terms of nature. So the Mother Nature element, the energetic vortex element is very strong here. So of course they came here and set up Hollywood in these Los Angeles streets. Of course the gangs and the Crips started here originally with righteous intents in terms of the Crips, and then got exasperated and weaponized and turned into something else that eventually has magnified around the whole entire world. It's an energy vortex. Of course, the impact and the vibrational resonance of the melanated people in California has made a strong, significant impact all around the world, including yours truly. You know what I mean? Not to mention the Black Panthers, not to mention the Nation of Islam, not to mention the Stanley Tookie Williams element of it. We could argue whether, it was for the best or for the worst and all of those things, but it's not too many people in America, Black in particular, that you can't talk to and mention his name that won't know who he is. You got the crack cocaine element, which started in, they say, the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm going to say Oakland, just because, I did the knowledge in the scientific intervention in our affairs. So that launched off and started there and was intentionally, metastasized, just to, flex my nerd muscles for a minute here. You know what I mean? Proud nerd, hashtag. To metastasize and be exasperated in California, in Oakland, in Los Angeles in particular. Why? Because these are energy vortexes. The sun is strong here. The tropical environment is strong here. You know what I mean? So they've perverted this energy. They've inverted this energy. That's why this is the gang capital of the world. It's a very strategic thing. It could never be successful without our input and our being a part of that. Because remember, in sinners, you got to open the door. You got to invite them in. Across the board, that's a spiritual and universal law. You got to invite them in. Sometimes it happens directly and obviously. Sometimes it's subtle and indirectly. Look at Cassie. You know what I mean? She invited Satan in. She was 19 and still, had that innocent element to her. Obviously, anybody who's been 19 before should remember how gang tight and savvy you were at that time versus, applicable to being manipulated, man or woman. It's beyond gender. But still, what behind the ears type vibes. This is why everybody gives young people a pass for doing stupid shit. Because we expect young people to do stupid shit. So at 19, yeah, you did something really, 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 really stupid, right? And got, taken advantage of it. But you also fed a beast during that process. And you paid a heavy price for it. So the spiritual and the universal laws are still in full effect, What many people don't understand about the culture in LA, it could be an ICE issue to a race conflict. It's all indigenous soil. That's the irony. Even Europe, it just Europe wasn't, prime real estate. You know what I mean? And plus, all of the land masses were connected at one time. So, us arguing about that to a certain extent is, has its limitations because we can clearly see that all of these lands were connected at one point. So then we start talking about, the tectonic plate shifts and migration and crossing the Bering Straits and all of that. And, you know what I mean? But the gods created the tribes. So you can argue over the tribes, or you can align with the gods. That's my perspective on it. So let's walk a little bit more. Let me see where we at on time. Or we're at an hour. Okay, so I'm going to start to wrap this up. So again, venturing through these Hollywood streets, I'm not far from the epicenter of what they claim to be going on. But to be honest, I couldn't really tell you exactly what's going on unless I was present on the ground, because I studied all of the footage that I've watched, not all of the footage, but there's some major CGI things taking place here. AI is in full effect. There's agent provocateurs all littered throughout all of these situations and circumstances. Then you got Antifa, which is another program, just like Black Lives Matter. Those two programs run concurrently. So you have that element where you have these just, strange white people from everywhere, I guess. They must be situated on the West Coast because, they mostly show up in the West Coast. But in New York, too. New York is one of the battlegrounds for all of this. Particularly because, New York is an energy vortex, too. And because the East Coast is a very powerful center of light and consciousness, especially when it comes to our people. We've lost sight of that fact, right? But it's true. So the only real way out of this, I know when I say this sometimes it sounds like a Hallmark card, and I don't like when people say Hallmark card type shit. I'm a lot more, understandable, because now I find myself saying things where I have to quantify, like, I know this sounds like a Hallmark card situation, right? But I try to back mine up with a little bit of, a little bit more depth to contextualize it, right? But that passage of the only way out of this is within. What it's going to take and what it is taking for us to maintain frequency during this timeline, like, you got to examine yourself. From in the last, how long did it take for all this stuff to roll out? You see how fast they're working too. You see how quick it goes from, on Thursday morning, we set up raids in, let's say 10 specific locations in Los Angeles. And then, within 4 days, the National Guards and the Marines are on site. You see how quick they're moving, right? This is, we want to make sure we're all on the same page here. So you got to ask yourself over this past, let's say, week, how much have you gotten caught up in this? How much of your energy and your focus and your timeline and your posts and your, video content that you've watched and et cetera, how invested in this are you? And I hope that you are just as invested and even more invested in every single day being intentional about building a heaven for yourself that's going to run parallel with the hell that these people are intending to create. It's already started. Sometimes I watch the footage and I look at the images that they use, the one picture of the dude with the Latino, with the Mexican flag that's got his shirt off and he's got his face covered and his head covered, and he's flying the flag while the car behind him is on fire and he's standing on top of the Venmo, whatever they call those cars that are self-driven. So they spray painting all over the cars and, attacking technology. Oh my God, how dare you? They set the robots on fire. Oh my God. Right? Major purge vibes. So I'm looking at all of the images and the footage. That picture, you can't tell me that unless that guy comes forward and like we can verify and prove it was him. I wouldn't even believe it if, honestly, if somebody came forward and said it. But that's that major image moment. They just need an image to represent the movement in the timeline. So when Trump allegedly got, his ear grazed, or you guys still believe that? When Trump allegedly got his ear grazed, and then the image of the Secret Service surrounding him, and they're kind of stacked up in layers next to him, and then they've got the flag in the background. All that shit is art and theater and smoke and mirrors. They just needed that one picture, and that one picture right now, if you Google it, is gonna come up. This is psychological warfare at very high levels. And it depends on the respect factor that they have for the people. You can tell how strategic, right? How intentional, how how much time, how much money, how much planning, how much energy they put into it. Because half the time when I see their moves, I'm like, yeah, they think people are stupid. This is not the way you try to trick an intelligent person. This is not the way that you try to manipulate an intelligent person. I guarantee you Diddy didn't use the same methodologies on Cassie that he used with, let's say, Kim Porter. No disrespect to Cassie, but there's levels to this. Yeah? What's the gas looking like where you are? They just passed another law where they're getting ready to add an extra tax to California gas. It's like 65 cents per gallon or something like that. So let me tap in with the chat. Yeah, I enjoy these walks together too. Hollywood back at work, crisis actors, facts. I'm so grateful to have caught you alive. Much love. This is not Sherman Oaks. This is Hollywood. It was the fist in the air for me. Yeah, man, come on. It wasn't even good. I like film. I like TV. I'm a Jason Bourne fan. I think Jason Bourne is probably the best action movie series. Next to Jason Statham. What's his, and Tracking too, right? What's Jason Statham's main? See, I'm on this busy street, y'all. This shows you how much I love you guys, okay? Because I'm walking and I'm talking and I have my, my camera up. So, yeah, this is like when I was on Slauson and Crenshaw. And I'm just walking down the street like, yeah, Oakland girl, this is California, it's all love. And then it dawned on me like, bruh, this is Crenshaw and Slauson. Like, not that I'm walking on it, but that I was recording. And I'm recording in like, what? Couple hundred people in my direct vicinity in their cars, walking through, trying to make their way through. So, I put it all on the line for you guys. Pause. I have to say pause because, you know what I mean? Again, I don't know who's listening in. My ops are consistent. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but I want to show you guys LA. And I want to show you guys the energy and the vibration and the frequency that's happening in this city beyond the program that they're showing you right now. Because the program does not actually reflect how this city is vibrating right now and operating right now. But they have absolutely used the Hollywood magic to exasperate a problem that they started in true problem reaction solution style. They've exasperated a problem that they started, and now they got humanity, the people who are on the frequency that are in that space, locked in, hook, line, and sink. We got a whole new, a whole new realm and a whole new focus and a whole new emphasis on a whole new issue right now. This wasn't even an issue 2 weeks ago, was it? No, it was an ongoing conversation. There was things that were happening that were matriculating. The one guy who got sent to, I think it was Venezuela, and then he ended up coming back. All these fabricated stories and circumstances. So they were happening, but literally within I'm going to say 1 week to be conservative. Within a 1 week timeline, they've turned everything upside down, topsy-turvy in terms of the amount of people that are paying attention to this situation. Steadying my hand, pardon me. Chateau Marmont, for those of you guys who are LA familiar. Okay, so this is Sunset Boulevard right here. It's a very busy part of, the Sunset Strip right here. You can see the vibes, you can see the energy, right? It is 4:32, so traffic obviously is picking up a little bit. Transporter, exactly. How could I forget that? So Transporter, the whole Bourne Identity series, Jason Bourne, period. Transporter, and then what's Jason Statham's? Transporter is it. But then, what's the other one? I just said it, didn't I? Tracking or trafficking, or y'all know what it is. Yeah, but I am a movie aficionado. I enjoy a good movie. I enjoy screenplay. So if you're gonna play a game, try to pull a Fugazi on me and play mind games, you're gonna have to make it good. My son told me I needed to watch Saw. Wait, let me steady my hand. Make sure my camera is right. Okay. My son told me I needed to watch Saw, the movie on Netflix, Tyler Perry's new movie, right? So I said, okay. It's number one, it might be good, even though I don't really check for Tyler Perry content anymore, and exactly why, I'm going to tell you right now. I got about 15 minutes in the movie and was like, I can't watch this shit. Like, you got this brother in here screaming and yelling at this woman who, the black man is like a super mean character in a lot of his movies. It's not even, it's like, this don't even feel real. And so, I've told my son this, and he's like, oh, all the movies don't have to be about black success stories. And then when I pointed that out, he was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. It's like, the guy, the manager in the company is like shitting on her, Taraji, and she has a knack for playing these weak, willowed, broken feather, docile damsel in distress parts. No disrespect to Taraji, obviously. It's just, this is the fan critic in me. I have the right to my opinion. So yeah, I can, 20 minutes in, I'm like, I can't watch this. I don't believe anybody in the story, except maybe the baby, the child. You know what I mean? So, see the Tesla situations out here. That was the dumbest thing that Tesla ever did in terms of the way that they pivoted with the situation in California out here, and the mockery of California dropping the ball with the fire and everything. Like, this is Teslaville. Okay? California is the home of the Tesla. So for all of the business fanfare that he gets, Tesla, for, being such a powerful business aficionado, technology and all, like, why would you ostracize your biggest customer? As you see, I'm walking past a Tesla, okay? This is Teslaville. Why would you ostracize your biggest customer the way you have and the way you did? Then you see the Tesla stocks are falling now because of all the little footsie game that him and Donald Trump are playing. Let me turn around and check my surroundings. Told y'all, it's Agent Smith be in these streets. Make sure we all, you know what I mean? Got to make sure the queen is protected. And, you guys in the chat room hold me down and make sure y'all sending me love. But not that be careful energy. Like, nah, if there are any devils in my vicinity, you should be careful. If there's any wickedness in my vicinity, you should be careful. You know what I mean? I know I never walked down this Sunset Strip with you guys. I've done it several times in my membership channel. But I'm going to walk down here to, let's see, I'll walk maybe another block. and then we'll stop there. Just for you guys to get, I don't think I've ever walked on this side of the streets though, the street, just for you guys to get the vibes and to get the, pick up on the energy of what's going on in the streets again. This hotel right here is finally under construction. It's been, vacant for some time now. There go another pink Tesla, okay? It's been vacant for some time now, but somebody went in and remodeled. And if I had, my way in terms of like, I would love to go into buildings like that, hotels, spas and whatnot, revamp them, make them beautiful, and then make a shitload of money. Why not? That's what they do. How you doing? So you see the vibes here on Sunset. There's no protest. There's no, you know what I mean? Everything is business as usual. Yes, there's probably some heated. Oh, this was the other thing I wanted to say. June 14th. I'm glad I said this before I finished this video. So June 14th, Trump is planning a military march of all things. It's like, when people tell you who they are, believe them. How is anybody still campaigning for this dude at this point? I have no idea. You know what I mean? But is the spirit of God still in you? Because you got to have some spiritual discernment if the spirit of God is still in you, right? June 14th, they're planning this march in Washington, D.C., and they're also planning against Trump's march, in Washington, D.C. They're planning marches all around the country. I'm just going to say, I don't like to tell people what to do. I'm not anti-protesting. I'm not anti-marching. I'm not anti any of that. I think people should do what they feel compelled to do to be of service, to humanity. I support you guys in that regard. But my advice for myself, my personal perspective on it is that I'm not going to be putting myself in any environments that have been carefully and in a very sophisticated way been strategized. And all of those protests, unfortunately, have been carefully crafted and strategized and have a much bigger purpose than just you coming out and speaking out against the injustice of what's happening with ICE, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So there is a lot of variables to this situation that we need to be mindful and conscientious of. There is a recipe and an example for that idea of being in this world and not of this world. That sentiment, that goal is something that all of us need to learn how to contextualize for ourselves, individually first and foremost, and then we can come together collectively and start to, figure out the steps to sort of embody that. But this is an example, me walking down Sunset, one of the most famous streets in the world, right? In the midst of what people around the world on the outside looking in are thinking that this city is on fire and, it's hell 2.0 for LA, right? And yet you see me walking here in my right state of mind, with proper context, proud, strong, confident, not fearful of any of this, conscientious and mindful of how the devil is operating in this world, but still representing love and light. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. This is the thick of it right here, where I am right now. This is, the epitome of all of those extreme polarities sort of coming together and existing in one space. So I'm not on the go with the flow frequency. Let me see, I'll cross the street here and go on the other side so you guys can let me. Just got you, OG. Let me just let you do your thing. All of those extreme polarities are existing in this space, and yet I, self-lord and master. You know what I mean? And yet everywhere I stand is holy ground. Right? You don't feel any contention, or I don't feel any fear. I don't feel like the ball is about to drop, or, I feel like there's something major happening in the air and in the mindset of the people. But I'm not going to be, influenced in a way that's going to take me off my square. That's just the modus operandi right now. It has to be. Because again, like I said, what I'm seeing and how I'm interpreting this, I'm gonna change my view across the street so you can see the other side of the view, and then I don't want you guys to see my shadow walking. That's bad camera footage, you know. Not being negatively emotionally swayed by any of this shit. You know what I mean? And I am emphasizing this when I say I'm invested in you guys. I say that to my membership channel all the time, and then I say that in some of my content here. And again, that's one of those things that sounds like Hallmark card, like girl, bye. Nobody, you know what I mean? You don't even know me like that, right? Which is lack-based consciousness too, but I digress. Because if I'm operating in the world with love and embodying the world, then yeah, I kind of do know you, even if you're not in your right state of mind, right? But when I say it in your well-being, it's because, the magnification of wickedness is increasing every day. That's the real underlying agenda of this Diddy trial, to magnify and increase our access to, right? And the normalizing of, hold on, let me check my surroundings. Make sure I'm, you know what I mean? Conscientious of what's happening in Hollywood.ai. What's that? Elon Zuckerberg Bezos, Hollywood.ai fame. Okay. Why would I be invested in your well-being? Because there's way too much shit that's invested in negativity. Because there's way too much anti-male, anti-female sentiment in the collective consciousness in our conversations, in the way we treat each other. Because there's way too much lack-based consciousness and suffering and anxiety and depression, and that affects the whole. So the more light beings, ooh, what's that? Somebody dropped their keys, I think. Yep, and somebody put them up and left them there. Hopefully they get them. So I saw a video today that talked about Japanese, if you lose something in Japan, that people are going to make sure you get it. And then there you go. LA has that same type of, je ne sais quoi too. It just depends on where you are too. But being invested in your well-being, let's say where two or more are gathered in my name, right? That's sentiment. And so the more of us that come together that are sort of mentally, spiritually, and emotionally aligned, that are vibrating in love, that, overcome that lack-based consciousness sentiment, which a lot of us have to find our way through, especially Black people in America. Sometimes that lack-based consciousness, many times, most times, is expressed through poverty, but then it's also expressed through trauma and through neglect and abandonment and not being properly loved, So as we continue to to navigate that, to be intentional about overcoming those things. And it's like, okay, I'm starting to get my feet on solid ground. I'm feeling better about myself. I'm eating better. I'm taking better care of my body, right? I'm reading. I'm walking and doing yoga and paying better attention to, my physical. I'm hanging around a better quality of people. I'm giving access to a better quality of female, in terms of having access to me for the brothers. That's all I represent, is the male-female dichotomy. Sorry, guys. Not sorry, but I'm just saying. That's the irony of the whole Diddy case situation. It's like, yeah, they were equally yoked to a certain extent. So why is it so hard for men to accept accountability and responsibility for that, and women to do the same? It's like making excuses for, again, doing something strange for a little bit of change. Like, all women at one point in their lives get to that crossroad where you can pull your skirt up and lay on your back and make the situation easier for yourself. Maybe as a single mother, maybe working in a corporate environment, maybe working at the McDonald's, But we all kind of have those experiences where, the fork in the road is there, and you can, choose to compromise your integrity for the sake of financial gain. Many, if not most of us, have that opportunity at some point. And the same thing goes for men. You grew up in the hood and, you know, you could be a dope dealer, a drug dealer, a robber, or you can focus on staying in the books and, you know, making the right choices and decisions. So I'm saying all of that to say, when I say I'm invested in you, I'm not just saying that because that sounds good. We need people who have the courage and confidence to stand up to what this moment is commanding of us. And if you're one of those people, then you got to be in the lab. You got to be in the lab of yourself, the lab of your craft. I've been heavy in the lab of the publishing industry craft for the last couple of weeks. More on that at another time. But I'm just saying, you got to be in the lab of your craft. You got to be in the lab of your business. You got to be in the lab of your relationship. If you have a significant other, and if you don't have a significant other, then be in the lab of yourself to manifest an equally yoked relationship. And stop picking up wooden nickels. And that is the thing that I've been emphasizing to our men this whole entire time. You know what I mean? So, I'm going to leave you guys. I wanted to, again, give you a broader perspective on the LA situation. And let me just fix my view here. I will check in with you guys in the chat room when let me just check in now. What did I say? I said something funny, Solomon. The love of money is the root. I, self-lord and master, yes. Sorry, still shutting down work-wise, but please advise regarding pre-planned travel plans to Southern California, my sis. And I have in 2 weeks, no need to be overly concerned, right? Not to me. No. As I'm sure you may have mentioned before, extra important that although we are all in this world, not to be of this world, spiritual wisdom. Give us 20 more minutes, Queen. Well, let's see. Drop some love in that super chat. My Cash App information is readily accessible for everybody. You know what I mean? I done gave y'all an hour and 20 minutes of my time right now. And you know I'm with it. It's beautiful outside. But y'all gotta show some love and reciprocate, man. After the algorithm, ostracized me after I got canceled, or not canceled, but censored for trying to tell the truth. Things switched up for me. The support switched up. Things changed. If I was live from the Diddy trial right now, I'd probably be making $1,000 a day just in super chats. But here I am trying to, you know what I mean? Raise the vibration. That don't really quantify for a lot in this timeline. People don't respect that. And it's all good. But, an hour and 20 minutes. My hourly rate is $150. So what we doing? I'm kidding, but I'm being serious too. This cute little dog. Not a dog person, but I just love nature. So y'all see the vibes. Much love, T Mayo. See, that's what I'm talking about. Now that's called reciprocity right there. Now we can keep going, Tell me what you want to talk about. Tell me what you guys want to get my vantage point on. I'm gonna go back down Sunset, bust a right on Fairfax. That's how you know I'm from California. I'm gonna bust a right on Fairfax, and then I'm gonna bust a right on Fountain, and then we'll end there, okay? And then I can make my way back to my original destination. This is my second workout today, by the way. I did a 30-minute power yoga workout, right? So let's contextualize this. We're at an hour and 20 minutes now. It took me about 40 minutes to get all the way up that hill. Nah, it wasn't 40 minutes. It was like probably 30 minutes. 30 minutes up, and then I started talking to you guys. So I'm like 2 hours into my walk right now. This is my Lara Croft Tomb Raider, mission on Earth. This is how I commune with and connect with the soul of the world. So I'm here reporting live on the scene, live and direct in Los Angeles for you guys, to bring you, updates of what's happening here on the ground, to show you the beauty of the environment, to show you how busy, the environment is. This is your reminder too, to go out in the world. Do something different, do something new. Walk in a different path, California looks beautiful. Yeah, it is, for real. It's very beautiful. And you can see even the billboards, right? That line. Sure he's, you know what I mean? I gotta, again, be conscientious of my surroundings in these streets. That's the benefit of growing up in the hood. You know, you have a different level of perception. So we came walking in this direction down Sunset on the other side. So now you kind of get a different vantage point of Sunset. And this is the Chateau Marmont. This is a very, very world renowned hotel right here. And from my understanding, James Belushi, if I remember correctly, committed suicide there, as well as another big celebrity. But during the pandemic in 2020, that is a place where a lot of the, how should I say, the salaciousness of, you know, that Hollywood energy took place in that hotel, to the point where they were doing major freak-offs, major drug orgies, major sex orgies. People were doing cocaine, like, you know, normally they might go in the bathroom and tighten up. I wouldn't know. I've never done cocaine a day in my life. But in LA, you know what I mean? It's not that big of a deal, apparently, right? This is all from hearsay. But yeah, it was a place where a lot of, you know, Hollywood, because then nobody wanted to, how you gonna tell somebody that's worth 50 million that they can't go outside? You know, people that are used to having their way and doing whatever they want to do and going wherever they want to go, how are you gonna all of a sudden think you're gonna tell those people to you know, stand 6 feet apart and to stay where you're supposed to be? Like, most, the regular folks, quote unquote, did that. But, you know, the upper echelons of LA, so to speak, the ones who have the money and the access, yeah, they turned up in different ways. So if you think about Demon Time on Instagram, right? And how Demon Time was another sort of reflection of that, of how humanity gets bored. What do? Not all of us, obviously, but humanity gets bored and creates something called Demon Time. Well, we can't access the strip club, so we're gonna find a way to, you know, to make sure we have access to it from the safety and comfort of our homes. No disrespect, I'm just saying, the devil is in the details. Okay, so if it's called Demon Time, then you shouldn't feel no type of way about me acknowledging what it is and who it serves. Just like artificial intelligence, I did a live. I'll stop for a second so you guys can get the energy of Fairfax and, Crescent Heights and Sunset Boulevard. This is a real high energy environment. Check this billboard out right here, right? So this is for the show Adolescence on Netflix, which I watched and I actually really enjoyed. But look at the placement of where she's standing versus where the boy is standing. He's in a sort of domineering, almost sexual-like posture in that image. Doesn't seem like anything, but I promise you, they do all of that intentionally. Yeah, California sunlight definitely hits differently. I don't know who it is, you know, somebody in my chat room trying to talk greasy, and it's blocking you from being able to say mean-spirited things. Let me just see. Oh, okay, that's not that bad. You gotta be conscious of those comments, you guys. Don't get me banned. Don't get me flagged, as I'm sure you mentioned before. Extra important. Yeah, I said that. I appreciate you, Timeo. So yeah, the time when God gave us sort of a grace period, God the Most High, Allah, whatever your preferred language, the universe, the Most High, the Elohim, the Netaru, I'm with all of that. And then even beyond that, I am that I am. That's the most appropriate to me representation of what we consider God. But here it is, this time where we've all kind of gotten this grace period to stop and kind of, you know, really pay attention to our lives, pay attention to our health, pay attention to our body, pay attention to our families, and tighten up on our situational awareness. And a lot of people went deeper into their lower nature. So you heard all the stories where, where domestic violence, was increasing and alcohol sales. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the hell are people drinking and just sitting in the house all day? How do you do that? I don't, you know what I mean? Like, how is that possible? And then, so again, this timeline going backward to the Chateau Marmont perspective, we saw a lot of these celebrities sort of really unraveling on social media because they're not getting the normal ego stroke, the normal fanfare, the normal paparazzi, right? Mike Tyson said one time he was irritated because somebody wanted to take a picture with him. And he said, his wife said, oh, please, you know good and well, if you walked outside and nobody recognized you, it would drive you crazy. And he was like, yeah, probably. And I was just like, just think about that. If one day you walked outside and nobody noticed you and you used to everybody kissing your ass or paying you attention or, or giving you praise based on some false sense of, Hollywood magic or self or whatever. And I'm here for the great actresses. I'm here for the great athletes. I'm here for the theater of it all. I used to be a big sports fan until Donald Sterling, did what he did and the reaction of the players. So and now I can't unsee it. I can't unsee $1 million players playing on a basketball court and pretending like there's an audience in the background, in the crowd, and they've got face plates up to make it look like there's an audience and you're on the floor playing by yourself. There's no audience, but there's a fake audience and there's fake crowd audience. And then you get on the floor and play and then you go back to the bench and put your mask on. I can't unsee that. I'm sorry. It unlocked a certain, thing in my brain that now cannot be unlocked and undone, okay? But when I was the biggest Kobe Bryant fan there is. Nothing weird. I had to say that because the testimony today in the Diddy case is talking about the trifecta and Diddy and Shaq and Jordan. There's all this weird shit. Again, Scorpio, lower nature on full throttle. This is how dangerous the Scorpio can become if that shit's not checked. In full throttle in front of the world. Who better? If you're gonna air it all out, who better than to use a Scorpio that is naturally attuned to the darker forces, naturally attuned to the sexual energy. Who better to use as an example in front of the world of what not to become? So all you females and males that are like co-signing everything that Cassie and these other chicks said and did, like, nah, they gotta on a spiritual level there are no victims. Sounds harsh, but it's true. On a spiritual level there are no victims. It's all attraction and repellent. There's no equal equivalent to attraction of repellent, right? So yeah, it's attraction or repelling. It's either something that you directly or indirectly manifested based on your state of consciousness, or it's something that you need to go through in order to manifest, your potential or an experience that you are either directly or indirectly calling out for. So there are no victims. You know what I mean? Even with this situation with ICE and, the rounding up of families and all this and whatnot, like, yeah, you might be taken back home to recenter yourself and end up starting a farm or a business and starting a whole new, economic platform and solution for your own people in your own land. The algorithm or the vibes got me to your channel. View like ratio 92-92. Is that what it is? Okay, then there's reciprocity here. I'm here for that. Algorithm put this in my queue too. I appreciate hearing someone speak soundly. Thank you and blessings. New stub. Much love. Thank you for being here. ZaZa, please check out Zachary K. Hubbard's work. He's a real one just like you. I will. You could send me a link to his information, and I'm pretty sure you're probably sending him information about my information as well. That's the reciprocity piece. Enjoy the plants, great breakdowns, initiation, in other words. Yes, just ordered a book. Much love. We are the people 62. I appreciate you. What is land equals mind? DNA. Okay, so that sounds like some high science type situations, you know? And if y'all want to talk high science, then I'm going to need to stop for a second and get my mental faculties in place. I'm being facetious because, you know, I'm feeling some type of way and I'm walking and, you know, it's just a beautiful day. And again, there is a lot of, you know, projected and strategically placed chaos in the world right now. I don't know if I honed in on that point about that, the front cover of The Economist magazine, saying having the title of chaos and having a bunch of different reflections of Donald Trump. So this is what he's here to do. He's here to cause chaos. So if I'm in a situation, pardon me guys, you know, the sound here picks up when I'm on these main streets. But if I'm paying attention to what's happening on the ground, and I see that they're telling me that his whole goal is to be an antagonist and to cause chaos, that's going to check the way I respond. Like, oh, this is intentional. That Joker energy, which ironically Diddy, right before, you know, things started to unravel him, he was on that Joker frequency, weird Joker frequency. These celebrities and these people are under major different stages of mind control. Elon Musk right now is under a humiliation ritual. I know you guys don't think it's possible for somebody worth billions of dollars to have to submit to a humiliation ritual, but it's happening right in front of our eyes. He showed up at the White House with a black eye. Oh, he had a fight with somebody else in the White House. You believe that? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. I'm being facetious and a little funny, but you know what I mean? Like, we got to step our game up. So that the decoding and decoding and, you know, all of that stuff that has become part of the Facebook and the Instagram and the YouTube culture, all that stuff is important because there are some highly intelligent people in the world. I need to see them. You know what I mean? There's some spiritually focused women in particular in the world. I need to see them. I want to hear them. I want to, you know what I mean? I want that frequency to be alive in the world. It needs to be more powerful and more consistent and more insistent and intentional than the concubine frequency. I'm thinking about a title that I'm going to put the YouTube video up. This will be for my members. When I do part 2 of episode 71, it's going to be an expose of an update on the Diddy trial, the Roc Nation situation with Desiree Perez, the bigger scheme of the Roc Nation play, because Roc Nation has been a pivotal player in 2020 moving forward up to this present day, right? Jay-Z is playing a very significant role in terms of the broader agenda. I'll say that. So I'm going to be posting that video later on tonight, but it's important for us to quantify and to pay attention to what they're doing, but to also at the same time pay attention to the world that we want to create and the world that we want to build. Some of us are here to destroy. Some of us are here to rebuild. When we say destroy, it doesn't have to be physical things, right? We're here to destroy the lies and the fallacies of religion that have kept people locked in a certain frequency and vibration, right? We're here to destroy the lies and the fallacies that the man is superior to the woman and is closer to God, thereby the only one who is qualified or quantified to be a spiritual teacher or leader. We are re-qualifying and re-quantifying that because we know it can't be true. Not if she's the portal and the way into the physical, the mental and spiritual and emotional too, but let me stay focused. So we're here to recalibrate and re-quantify the dichotomy between the white-black dichotomy. It just has to happen. You know what I mean? So wherever you are, whatever position you find yourself in, you know, whether it's a plumber or a hairstylist or an author such as myself or historian or a scientist or somebody that loves animals, husbandry, right? Agriculture, all of those things. That's why I said earlier, is there something you're focused on mastering right now? And it could just be you, which would be more than enough. There's a lot of females out here. The DDG and the Holly Bailey case, makes me think about this. And I might touch on this in the headline news episode, because it's kind of relative, especially with the chick that's on the stand right now, right? And the whole, well, it's just what he wanted me to do. So, 2 guys, 3 guys at what night? Like, all that, right? This is the downfall of letting concubines lead the culture, right? So they all walked so she could run, so to speak. But this concubine Delilah frequency is like live in the ethers, so to speak, where that whole I'll sacrifice myself to get an apartment for $10,000 a month, and women are like, yeah, I kind of understand, but I don't. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I don't. You're looking at the bigger picture of everything that this woman is talking about she's been through, and you're still focused on the money. That just kind of verifies that, that concept of money being the god of this world and the god of so many people. You can't compartmentalize this into a human element. So this is an important learning lesson for a lot of these young women, these young females. Pay close attention to what these brothers are saying, what these men are saying, how they're laughing, how they're joking, how they're pointing fingers, how they're minimizing. Somebody said on my post on Instagram, so you're agreeing that Cassie pimped Diddy. Somebody said to me, and I didn't say anything close to that. But my response was, no, the gazelle doesn't pimp the lion. She pimped herself. You know what I mean? And I only said she pimped herself because she came out 30 million strong. So to put the money aspect in context. Now you guys have to remember, I grew up in Oakland. You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit more privy to, unfortunately, although I've never been a participant, just an observer to the culture of, playboys and Macs and pimps and all that shit. That other part of the lower nature in black culture that's getting ready to get wiped off the set too, because it's out of alignment with the divine feminine. Not to be confused with out of alignment with just women in particular. There is so many things that are acceptable in the culture of men that is so unhealthy for you. Like Cameron talking about, oh, I wonder what was the sex like? Really? You're curious about the sex with a sex worker? You're curious about the sex that a woman who has admitted to probably like having, 300 random sexual encounters with strangers who do this for a living, that, sexually transmitted diseases and all that good stuff is a part of this whole conversation. And you're still curious? Which part turned you on? The STDs, the UTIs, the bumps in the mouth? Which part of that are you still curious about? Mind you, this is one of the guys that all the guys look up to. So no disrespect, Cameron, but you put yourself in the line of fire by being stupid. And it is what it is. Again, the lower nature in terms of the anti-divine feminine element, yes, all getting taken off the set. And that goes for all of the sort of, what should I call them? The manufactured sex, queen energy in rap and hip hop culture that is the mainframe, that is part of the mainframe. That is the mainframe at this point. It's so hard for Rhapsody to break through that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And she's working hard. It's so hard for Cyrock to break through that, and she's been working hard. Chaos and confusion. The Leviathan spirit is strong. Important to kick our game up. Yes. Thought Crime said the thing about Jay-Z heavy. I'm not sure who that is, but Jay-Z is definitely up next. women are doing plastic surgery to themselves. Yeah, and that was my other thing about that comment about, that regular shit that irritated me. And not because I took it personal, because I didn't take it personal at all. But I know what that sentiment is doing to a lot of these females and these young females. So again, how do I get myself out of the regular category? BBL, plastic surgery, puckered lips, all that shit. All of those reminders of how unsatisfied and dissatisfied we are as women with ourselves. Competing, but with who? And that's the other thing to really reiterate to these girls and these young women right now. Bro, you got to find a way to be happy with yourself. You got to find a way to appreciate the things that God has given you and then sculpt and nurture whatever you have. There's no reasons BBL should be trending because all you got to do is hit the Stairmaster. You might not get a Buffy the bodybuilder or whatever that chick's name was. Y'all know I'm being funny, but I'm just saying, why don't you want your best body? Why you want somebody else's body? And it don't match your legs. You know what I'm saying? And it's just all that stuff is just this major culture of highly insecure women. And in this situation with Cassie and this chick is really bringing it to the forefront. This lifestyle that a lot of these females are trying to live up to and trying to, become a part of. Look at the cost. I bet you, I guarantee you, Young Miami got a story to tell that she probably will never tell because she was with the shits. But look at the cost. I appreciate you, AJ. Much love. Beauty comes in many, many forms, not a plastic Barbie doll, right? Yeah, Jay-Z's quiet because, it ain't no telling how many necks he had to step on or possibly break in order to get where he is. And again, this is somebody who has been a cultural mainstay in Black culture and has been representing us, whether we, admitted it or not. Whether we, voted for it or not, he represents us in terms of the collective conscious. And it's cool when he's doing well. It's cool when Beyonce is shining and Renaissance is all, you know what I mean? But then when the shit start hitting the fan and you got to come to grips with, you got to continue earning that billion. But normally you earn the money and then you get the money. No, you get the money and now you earn it. That's how the devil plays. So they're all still earning their money. But I knew in 2020 when I saw Roc Nation doing that employment opportunity, he had a big festival, job fair, and they had a whole bunch of, big time, big name companies that were at this job fair, and it was right in Brooklyn. And smack dab on the flyer, it said 12 years and older, bring your VXS proof status. That was a big deal for me. I shared it on my social media and everybody act like it wasn't a big deal. I was like, oh, okay, you got it. Maybe it's just me. Nas did. I shared it on my social media too. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong. I feel like this is people claiming their allegiance, whether it's directly or indirectly. So, again, I've been walking with you guys now for an hour and more than 30 minutes at this point. You see what's happening in the streets in my environment. You see what the vibes are. This is midday too. This is like the time when traffic really picks up and the energy really picks up too. So it might be going down somewhere in LA, but LA is not up in flames. There is a major Hollywood, skit playing out. It starts out with the Hollywood skit and then the people take over. Y'all, this is exactly what happened with Libya. That's the other thing I wrote I didn't want to forget. This is exactly the same thing that happened with Libya, where they had a small fringe of people that were upset and dissatisfied with the government at the time. And so they started a social media campaign and were hashtagging specific, language at the time, right? So that it could become a global thing. And so allegedly all up in arms over Gaddafi, right? And the situation that was taking place there. Next thing you know, we see cameras dragging Gaddafi through the streets and, all of the ritualistic, demonic shit that took place there. But it all started online. She enjoys golden showers. I mean, just look at the level of, Look at the shit we're talking about. And yeah, we're talking about it because we're going to talk about it. But the devil is in the details. This is where they want humanity at in terms of our collective consciousness. I did the video about AI yesterday, and then it made me think about, and I meant to say this, but I forgot. Moses West, the brother who has created the technology to basically create water from thin air, right? And mind you, he created this, right? I'm sure he used technology in some sense whatsoever, but as far as I'm concerned, and I've watched a lot of his content, AI did not play a role in that, in the engineering of that utility and that apparatus, right? And this is something that the world needs, especially with the thing we talked about with AI and how much of the natural resources it needs for those supercomputers and for those, those major servers that they're going to have to build. So the technology is parasitic in nature. Is that what you're saying? That's how I'm translating that. So we are supposed to be using AI to make everything simple. And so human beings are going to lose their, their luster, so to speak, because what are we going to need you for? Because AI is so much smarter and so much more powerful and so much better, right? AI is the creme de la creme. But there's just one little caveat. We need power, right? We need internet and we need water. And we'll just start there. And those things, the whole system can't operate without that. Well, damn, okay, maybe we should, you know what I mean? We could have used that information when we all came together and voted on this. Oh, we never came together and voted on it? We never came together and said, yeah, we think we're going to let AI run the show from here on out, and we're going to make ourselves, humanity, God's greatest creation. We're going to make humanity second fodder to computers. We all didn't come together and vote on that? Oh, okay. Maybe I missed it. So you want to support Ibrahim Traore, go ahead. Support Moses West too, though. You know what I mean? Maybe some of us prefer the low frequency. Could it be that we're right and not the so-called light beings? See, this is the thing about, and I'm going to assume this is a serious question. This is the thing about free will. Human beings are the only beings that can actually choose slavery and choose debt and choose suffering and choose, to sabotage ourselves, right? To keep ourselves surrounded by people that don't have our best interest at hand, right? To neglect our bodies and not take care of ourselves. You can choose hell. And the universe will support you in that choice. You choose slavery, the universe will line you up with more people and more experiences that keep you enslaved, right? You choose health and well-being, then the universe will line you up with people and circumstances and situations that magnify your intention to be healthy. So yeah, this is, the individual choices and decisions and how they affect the collective consciousness, but you choose the heaven or hell. That's the thing that people don't want to acknowledge and step up to. So it's a lot more comfortable to believe in a God outside of ourselves. And technically, there is a God outside of ourselves, but then technically, there's not a God outside of ourselves, because the same God that's outside of ourselves is in us, powering us, fueling us, navigating us, steering us. That's why when I ask that question, who's steering this ship? It's a rhetorical question. Who's steering the America ship? Who's stealing the earth? Stealing. Who's steering the earth ship? But then who's steering your ship? Again, check yourself over the last week. How invested have you gotten? How mad have you gotten? How energetically charged have you gotten? You know what I mean? And then quantify that and juxtapose that with the level of, consistent energy and focus that you pour into yourself and building your heaven on earth while they are simultaneously working to build hell. I hope we all see that. I told y'all this is Tesla heaven right here. There's probably 20 Teslas just on this block alone. There's another one. Bad business for Elon, but we know he wasn't making those decisions. I was just watching your last video for the second time. I love it. On point. Much love. You're quite welcome. Gotta go for now. Look forward to listening to the playback. In the meantime, please know that you are loved and respected and that your content is highly appreciated. Much love, T Mayo. I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate you for supporting and for reciprocating. I cannot stand the way the world is going. What is ZaZa's Cash App, folks? Can I leave a comment? It's a really nice day outside, you guys. I wish you guys could experience the vibes here right now. I'm trying to figure out how to leave the comment. It's money sign ZaZa Ali, capital Z, little a, capital Z, little a, capital A, little L, little I, ZaZa Ali. Let me think of a right way to impart or to finish this conversation. So we're here in LA, right? The Hollywood aspect is strong here. I'll say Ashkenazi aspect is strong here. Somebody type that Cash App and put it in the chat room for me real quick, because I can't figure out how to work it. So we're seeing the Ashkenazi aspect playing out here. We're seeing the, weather circumstances playing out here. We're seeing the higher self in terms of the beauty of Mother Nature and the lower nature in terms of, the other aspect of Hollywood playing itself out, right? We're seeing people lose their shit and unravel, not just with the protests and the immigration thing. Like, nah, it's a real thing happening in the world, in our families and our friends and the people that we, hopefully not somebody you lay down with, but you never know. And if it is somebody you're laying down with, then that makes you more susceptible to the energy. Oh, so let's make this point. Because, I've been getting a lot of flack over the last 15 years because I have insistently been emphasizing this point in different ways about the balance of indulgence and discipline, right? And, always kind of trying to reiterate the point about, sexual discipline and whatnot. And so here we are. The devil comes in at your through the straight and narrow path, right? And what could be a more straight and narrow path? Literally and figuratively, right? In terms of the sexual relationship in the male-female dichotomy, which by the way, not by chance, but by the way, is how God proves its power. His power, her power, their power. You guys can argue those semantics. I don't get into all of that. God flexes his muscle through humanity. So how does God flex his muscle through you? Whew, that's a bar. How does God manifest its perfection and its potential? And I say potential, guys, don't get stuck on that word. Oh, God is too big for potential. What do you think creation is? The concept of identifying something that you want to see made manifest and then pondering ways to bring it into existence. That's what God does through us. So our desires are the way that the Most High speaks into us, to and through us. I'm not turning there, but thank you. Right? Being cognizant and conscientious of that. So then we say the 10 Commandments. This is not a direct 10 Commandment if my memory serves me correct, but pardon me, I should be more brushed up on my biblical quotes, but I've read it enough time to have the basic sentiment down. But I forgot my point because my mind just went to something, that's not really something I should say out loud. So I'm gonna switch gears there, right? Just take a moment to take the water in and let me shift my frequency because I just had a thought that I am not going to share. Yes, sexually transmitted demons for sure. Absolutely. Capital Z, small a, capital Z, small a, capital A, L-I. Yes, I am free. Love. ZaZa, watching you late. Weather is beautiful in New York City too. Much love. Yeah, we here to make the world beautiful again. We here to make the human experience beautiful again. You know what I'm saying? We're here to restore order. Donald Trump, again, Teslas everywhere. Donald Trump talking about restoring law and order. Yeah, we're going to restore law and order, but it's going to be based on the spiritual universal laws. Do unto others as you can have them do unto you, as you would have them do unto you. Just based on that sentiment alone, Diddy is done. And because he's a 50 some odd year old man, so and he's wealthy, so his responsibility and accountability is way more extensive than Cassie or the current concubine on the stand. That's the way it works. To whom much is given, much is expected. You know, that whole aspect of things. So we're here to restore law and order, God's law, God's order. And before we get all into the, because we try to make God seem like a stiff-necked, shrewd, mean-spirited, you can't have any fun, 3/4 of cloth, and I strike that, take that out, because I don't want anybody to feel any type of way, because I got plenty of Muslim sisters that follow me that I have so much love and respect for. I just use the 3/4 of cloth element to the dressing up in God's garb, so to speak, right? Representing in terms of, how you show up in the world, but not representing in terms of how you show up for yourself. Now, how can you really truly believe in the Most High if you don't believe in you? And that's the real work that a lot of us are getting snagged on right now. Brothers are getting snagged on they haven't been properly fine-tuned in terms of their emotional well-being, in terms of the heart chakra, in terms of, that power point, that focal point of power within themselves. So a lot of brothers are struggling with that right now, because this is the part where the love chakra and the love frequency is going to be reigning supreme. Appreciate you, Debbie. Much love, Davey. I was reading your first name and your last name at the same time. So my brother, Mr. Ali, okay, King Ali, much love. I appreciate you. So, the timeline right now, I'm going back to the sexual piece, going back to the indulgence versus discipline, going back to the, yes, God there's a shrewd element, there's a discipline element, there is a focus and fast and, that whole element. Although the word obey just never quite sat right with me. I don't think God needs to be casting those type of obey me or else. Obey me or else is not aligned with the reality that we know is that the universe will support you in whatever direction you're headed. So if you're in self-sabotage mode, it will support you in that regard, not because it wants you to sabotage yourself, but because the self-sabotage phase is necessary for you to get to the God phase, if you get there. Because a lot of people get stuck in the self-sabotage phase. So there's levels to this, but whichever phase you're at, God, the Most High, the universe is going to support you there. When it rains, it pours. Exactly. When things are going good, they start going great. Exactly. It's easy for people in this environment to magnify and to manifest wealth because they're surrounded by wealth. It's easy for people in the hood and growing up in poverty and in lack-based consciousness to magnify most of those things because that's what the world is reiterating to and for them. But then if you get on the bus, you live in Compton and you get on the bus and go up to Manhattan Beach and then you can see and experience something different. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just talking about the 10,000 square foot mansions. I'm talking about the 10 gazillion, quadrillion grains of sand on the beach and the endless, boundless visual of the ocean, the Pacific Ocean. So there's levels to it. What's up, Miss Kenya? How you doing, Queen? Good to see you. So again, for me, the emphasis and the onus is all about us Self recalibrating, first of all. I'm recalibrating from the concept of racism, white supremacy. That's not my reality. I'm recalibrating from the idea that, suffering is ordained, although most wisdom comes through suffering and pain. But still, I don't want to think that, you know what I mean? I don't feel like that's a commandment that my God would bestow upon me. But my God will allow me to slap myself around and do stupid things and bump my head in the sand if that's what I choose to do. Free will is a real thing. That's why the concept of artificial intelligence running the show just does not. How does artificial intelligence run the show in a world of free will? I still haven't heard anybody that's pushing that narrative break that down for me. You focused on something artificial, I'm focused on something real. You know what I'm saying? And consciously creating reality. So I don't want to project that on, the people who do manual labor, or the people who work in warehouses, or the people who do all the janitorial work, or work at McDonald's. I don't want to project that negativity on them. You know what I mean? And shout out to all the people who love artificial intelligence. I'm not mad at that at all. But come on now, who's creating this reality? Who's steering this ship? That's the question of the hour. Who's steering the ship in Los Angeles right now? Who's steering the ship in black culture right now? Ryan Coogler? That's a, rhetorical question. I said and I think one of my members in my membership channel responded to a comment that I made about Beyonce in one of the Walk With Me videos, and she was basically saying that Beyonce, she's probably listening. I'm gonna respond to you in the membership channel, Queen, but she said that Beyonce does a lot of good in Houston, and was referencing some of the things that she does in her community. And my point was not about what Beyonce is doing for the culture or for the people, although I can't remember my words verbatim. So pardon me if I said something that alluded to that. I wasn't even really focusing on Beyonce. I was focusing on the fact that Beyonce can do a world tour, America and otherwise, and rake in $600 million in a year, and then turn around and do another one the next year, which I would assume is going to project something close to that vicinity. Even if it's half of that, it's still a win for everybody involved, right? So if she's making $600 million in a year off the Renaissance tour, it's a very viable estimation for us to say that half of that money probably came from black people in America. Would that be a good estimate? Black people in America, let's say, Europe, maybe not, but I'm just saying, of 200 million from black people in America, for sure. That's the 60-40 ratio, right? Is my math right? Out of 600 million, 200, is that 60-40, or is that's 1/4? So that would be 25%, 25-75% ratio. Where are black Americans united in any other capacity where we can come together and say, okay, we let's put together a $300 million a year budget, and we're all going to funnel our funds into this project or these projects or these thought leaders or these instructors or these schools or these institutions of spiritual and intellectualism. Where? So that was the point I was making. I wasn't even, holding her accountable. Again, sometimes I say things in the midst of the conversation and maybe not say it the way I intend to, but that wasn't about Beyonce at all. That was just one of the ways that I was sort of, emphasizing how invested we are in entertainers and entertainment. And as we can see, when the shit starts hitting the fan with these people, they're going to be depending on us energetically, like Diddy is right now. Oh my God, he probably praying to black people in America every single night. He know that's his last vestige of any sort of, and that's just the black people that don't have any moral compass, any spiritual awareness, any spiritual groundedness. I'm not campaigning for a monster in any capacity, black, white, or otherwise. Get the likes up, folks. So we got 113 likes on my end and 90 viewers right now. So thank you guys for rocking with me. Thank you for listening to me. These conversations are therapeutic for me. I find that I get very positive reactions. It's easy for me to sit up and put the camera in front of my face. And, I know that's what people prefer. That's just too easy for me. I don't get off on looking at me. You know what I mean? No Diddy. I don't get off on the image of myself. I would much rather be heard and felt, energetically than to be seen. And so for me to, to have these experiences where I can turn on my phone and you guys actually be interested in what I have to say and my perspective, but at the same time, like, share the environment with you. I'm a student of the world. I'm a citizen of the world. How you doing? I'm a citizen of the world, and so these conversations are to kind of bring us together. You see, I'll from the hood to the 20-40 million dollar homes to the flatlands. I'm welcomed and I'm comfortable in all spaces because everywhere I stand is holy ground. You know what I mean? So we are live in LA right now. You can see the energy in the environment. I can hear a helicopter flying somewhere near. It might be jumping off downtown, but I'm telling you guys that this is all absolutely contrived and another tentacle of this agenda that, really started unfolding in 2020. All those people they welcomed in this country from Venezuela, from Mexico, from Haiti, all those people that they just welcomed in and gave them, laid them out on a bed of roses. This is how sneaky these Mickey Fickies, the wickedness. Imagine the strategy to be like, okay, we're going to take in 500,000 from Venezuela. We'll send them to Chicago and Texas. We're going to take in 100,000 from Mexico. We'll send them to California. We're going to take in, 50,000 from Haiti or from, fill in the blank, and we're going to send them to Brooklyn. We're going to put up a $50 million to make sure that they're housed in New York and in California and make sure that they have access to health care and health insurance, et cetera, et cetera. Imagine, I don't know if and this is how my mind works because I'll sit back and ponder on this. The strategy of the wickedness is fascinating to me. I'd be so, the concept of like installing a new operating system in a human being's body, you actually spend, what? You made a way to make that shit happen? Oh, that's, you know what I mean? So, but I'm equally, no, not equally, I'm even more fascinated by the science and the miraculousness of the Most High. So going back to that concept of, obedience and obey and submission and all these words that, we handicap ourselves to when it comes to religion, right? And books and paper and prophecy and all of this. But the relationship between us and the Most High is a lot more reciprocal than we've been taught. The relationship between us and the Most High is a lot more nurturing and compassionate and caring and thoughtful and empathetic and loving and nurturing and beautiful than what we've been taught. So you can't beat me over the head with those words anymore. As a woman, as a black woman, as a, a student of all of the scriptures, all of that, it's not going to work because I've developed my own relationship with myself, which is my most important relationship with the Most High. Plus I had a child. So at that point in motherhood, I become a scripture unto myself. Yeah, that's the prophecy of ZaZa Ali, but still it works. Charles, I don't know what that is you're trying to post, but it looks like something that is not in alignment with the goals here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Wish I could walk like that, legs, knees issues. You got to get up on that yoga. I was saying earlier, I've healed myself from, any physical issues, like in terms of my physical body. If I have problems, yeah, I'm going straight to yoga. ZaZa wrote a theory, The Science of Fiction Dialect. I published on Amazon in 2017. We might be twin selves. Yeah, we're here to represent the true and living. We're here to shine light. And mind you, let me just zoom in so you guys can see where I'm at right now. Okay, that's Santa Monica Boulevard down there. But everywhere I stand is holy ground, okay? And I expect to be treated with love and respect everywhere I go. And I'm not walking around in these streets, pontificating or posturing myself like I'm better than anybody in this environment because, there is a certain sort of way of life and culture in this environment that may not be aligned with, you know what I mean? My version of truth. And we all have our own versions of truth. You know what I'm saying? So, but still, I'm not walking around this area with a chip on my shoulder or feeling any type of way. Why? Because what's lacking? We got sexual salaciousness, promiscuity, we got ignorance, we got, the raunchy, raw element of social media, we got the protesting against the abuse and the disrespect and the public policies and the government and all this bullshit that they keep us wrapped up in and intertwined in. I just want to be free. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be at peace. I just want to, live life at the highest heights and tap in with people that are, operating in the love frequency and trying to figure this out. There ain't no need to be posturing around here like any of us know everything. That's why it irritates me about a lot of these social media influencers. Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the first this, I'm the best this, I'm the most that. Shut up. Have you paid attention to what's happening in the collective conscious right now? This is not the time for any of us to be bragging about anything. Shine your light and be quiet. Not be quiet, but you know what I mean? You don't gotta be quiet. You do what you want, but stop with the huffing and puffing and posturing and all that shit. Like Satan's on 10 right now. And God is not coming in no arrogant, I'm the number one this, the number of that. What is that say in the Bible? The comer by night. He didn't even want to be seen. He didn't even want to be known. I made no reputation of myself. And I'm not talking about anybody specific. I'm talking about a state of consciousness. Wisdom is not braggadocious. It's not. So let that be a litmus test for these people. You guys, I said that people get the leaders they deserve. Nothing could be further from the truth. Somebody put a comment about a comment I posted about Nature Boy. And I was just like, are we really that tapped out of what's happening that we're like promoting this dude now like he got some major wisdom back in whatever period of time he was, And then a brother asked me, well, is it possible that we can just take the message and leave the messenger? I'm not intentionally, consciously tuning into anything that's in alignment with wickedness. There's a Diddy video on my Instagram page somewhere. I don't even think, I may have already gone and taken it up, but I literally was asleep and woke up and was like, is that video still on my page? He was saying something that was powerful and I was, the point he made in the 90-second video was 100% on point. Probably like 4 years ago. I don't have time to go back and pull it down, but like literally out of my sleep, I thought about that. And it was probably connected to the other conversation about Nature Boy. We so thirsty for a tall drink, a drink of, pause. Let me just say pause ahead of time. We're so thirsty for, intelligent, charismatic, powerful black men that will accept, 80% good. So, and not acknowledge the 20% bullshit. Yeah, you can talk that black power stuff, but not take care of your children and still be accepted in the black community. You said we waiting on God, God waiting on us. The people get the leaders they deserve. And you can science that up and apply that to, whomever and whatever it is that you want to apply it to. How can you be a respected element of the community and of the culture and you don't take care of your children? I don't believe you. Charles, I don't know what's going on with you, but I need you to stop. I'm going to put you in timeout because I don't know what's going on. You get 30 minutes. We won't be live anymore in 30 minutes, but you can come back next time around. But I don't know what all that stuff you're putting in my comments is. It says Charles was timed out by ZaZa Ali for 1.8k seconds. So 1.8k seconds, 1.8 thousand seconds is 30 minutes. Yeah, go reflect. You know what I mean? Stop trying to stir up dust in the midst of the righteousness. And I don't even know if that's what you was trying to do, but we do, we do intellectualism and intelligence here. So you should be able to express yourself in the comments without me having to pull out a dictionary or go into my, decoding and deciphering. I've created my own new form of hieroglyphics in terms of how I communicate online. I know how to tell you what's in the shot without getting censored. I know how to tell you, what the modus operandi is without getting my page and my content shut down. It cost me a lot to learn that lesson, but yeah, it's a new version of hieroglyphics, a new version of communication. So I hope you guys keep that in mind in the comments when you are using certain words in certain language. Like, they still go in the temples of Kemet to this day and don't know what they're saying. I find that fascinating. They're going now and using their high power, radio, oh, there's a word for it. It escapes me right now. The technology they're using to see through the pyramids and the underground structures in Kemet and around the world, and finding out that, damn, these people really were geniuses. Why were they so smart? How were they so intelligent? Because they didn't have to pay cell phone bills and navigate prostitution. You know what I mean? They didn't have to deal with, debt and lack-based consciousness. And, it was more important to connect and commune with the Most High than it was to get likes on social media. There was a lot less convoluted consciousness in the surroundings and the environments. You know what I mean? Radio fuckery. I mean, like, the ultrasound, yes, that's more in the direction, David, exactly. Radio wave, right? That ultrasound element, those two things are, right? Another way of saying the same things. It has different applications, obviously, but exactly. So I'm just here to build the pyramids of today. I'm just here to support those of you guys who are here to build the pyramids of today. The new forms of sciences, the great architectural feats, the books that are going to live on forever. That's my contribution. One of them anyway. Yes, the laws of Ma'at, exactly. And balancing indulgence, the balance of indulgence and discipline is one of the laws of Ma'at. We don't really talk about it a lot, but it's crystal clear to me. So I'm proud of you guys. I know if you're tuning into me right now, it's not even about me. It's just about alignment and, the way energy and consciousness works. Because you're not tuning in. I ain't here for the salaciousness. We're gonna learn. We're gonna feel motivated. We're gonna feel inspired. We might hit patches of ratchetness and ghetto conversation, but again, this is necessary because the people that come from the worst situations and have the most difficult times and are able to alchemize and transmute those experiences are destined to become the leaders of the kingdom of God, because we've already experienced both polarities. We've been able to express creativity and expansion through both polarities. You know what I mean? If you only do it through the abundance-based consciousness, you still got a ways to go. If you only do it through the lack-based consciousness, you still got a ways to go. No judgment, because it's all love. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? Much love, Bobby. I appreciate you. Solomon said this is very therapeutic for me too. Dawood said diameter is the longest chord for a circle. Facts. Exactly. So we can measure, the time of this conversation in terms of how long we've been talking. Thank you guys for allowing me to stay here and build with you guys for a little bit longer. So that's a measurement of time. The impact of the conversation in terms of whether you taking anything I'm saying serious or not, whether it's about this conversation or all the conversations you having, that's a measurement of time. The amount of time you've been on this planet is a measurement of time. The amount of time you've been here versus the amount of time that you've really been living is a measurement of time. As a grown woman, I can tell you right now, I look back at my life and can see periods of time where I missed out. A year here, 2 years there, 6 months there, where it's like, what did I really accomplish at that time? Not that you always got to have something to check off the list, but still, like, there's periods of time where I should have more to show for. Maybe not in terms of, the material, but definitely in terms of the mental and spiritual growth. He got a body type like his dog. He got a little too close. You know what I'm saying? Like people with their dogs be sometimes trying me. I think they intentionally let the dogs get close to you because they expect for everybody to kind of be super, nurturing and kind. And I do that energetically, but I don't want to touch your dog. I have serious, cleanliness, germophobia type vibes. And it's no disrespect because I love nature. But yeah, then I got to turn around and hold my phone and maybe rub my eyes or touch my face or take something out of my bag. And I don't want to be touching that, you know what I'm saying, with that type of, it's just my thing. It's like our people, we take off your shoes when you walk in the house. I don't know where you've been. Don't sit on the bed in your outside clothes. These are sort of natural, organic things that we should all kind of, I feel like at this point, I don't even remember anybody teaching me those things. It just was kind of like an unwritten law I've always known. So the same sort of carefulness that we take when it comes to our homes and our environments, we should take that same sort of care and intention and focus when it comes to our physical body. I told y'all we in Tesla. This is the Tesla realm, okay? If I walk up this street down one block, I promise you I could count at least 10. Not a good business move for Elon. That's how you know he wasn't really calling those shots. And if he was doing it high. Drug addicts everywhere. Drug addicts running the country? Are you serious? Yeah, it looks that way to me. After they cashed out on the whole Doge thing, they milked the money for that. And now all of a sudden Elon's not the man for the job anymore. Yeah, okay. You're just pushing trillions of dollars into the global economy and people don't care as long as their bread is getting buttered. But when the shit hits the fan and if their intention of crashing the economy, then it's going to be, how did this happen? Z mean as hell. You see how when we having a conversation of, what I mean, where we're just coming together, having meetings of mind, and you see how that evil, mean spirit comes out? And I remember you, E-School, because I feel like you sent me a super chat in the last conversation. So why would you come into the conversation and say Z mean as hell? I'm not mean at all. If I was mean, I would be taken to these airwaves and saying what I really think and what I really feel. I've been handling these platforms with kid gloves for a long time now. So I would really appreciate if you would clean that up. I don't like that spirit or that energy at all. There's nothing about me that's mean. Now, if you're coming in the room representing the ops, then yeah, I would understand why you would say that and why you would feel that way. You said dude built like his dog, that's all. I'm done, y'all. Okay, well, yeah, I guess I can see how that would be mean. There's another Tesla, just for context. I guess I can see why that would be mean. It was a joke, but okay. You strike everything else I said from the record. I'll take that. Grateful for your loving frequency and inspirational conversation and the funny things you say. Yeah, man, I just be having jokes. Like, you know what I mean? I ain't trying to be mean. I'm trying to lighten the mood. And I really do have jokes, but a lot of the stuff I really want to say is probably not appropriate for this space. We all coming in at different levels and going through our own little stuff. So I also feel responsible to kind of come in and tap in with you guys, and see what the vibe is. Because again, it matters what's happening in the collective consciousness. It matters that there are some of us that are paying attention and sitting up straight. It matters that some of us are like really fasting and intentional about how we're moving into this world. And I'm trying to speak directly to you guys. I'm trying to, hold a certain frequency and a certain state of consciousness for you guys, for us. Again, another Tesla. You see what I'm saying? Why would Eli do anything? Eli. That's a inverted Freudian slip to call Elon Eli. Stop playing with the gods. You know what I mean? Full moon tonight. Is it the 11th or is it the 12th? Okay, the pink moon, right? Yeah, y'all don't take the stuff I be saying too serious, Tesla, another one. Oh, that's a Toyota Prius. Tesla, yeah, it's not the same. You can hear the helicopters in the background. That might just be in this area. That might be something that's sort of navigating towards the downtown LA area. But again, you guys have been on the phone with me now or on the